We were promised that if we did these drone things, that we would break the Russians' will to fight, that there would be a victory here. And I think they're waking up to the reality that they've been bamboozled the whole time.
What bamboozles me, Scott, is why, if Ukraine is doing so well, Zelensky or the Ukrainian regime would get rid of their defense minister at this time, Alexander Syrsky. There were nationwide protests calling for his dismissal. I'm not sure why, Scott. Deep and incessant that it's hard to actually get good information coming out of what's happening in Ukraine now. Why do you think this happened?
Because Ukraine's losing.
There were nationwide protests calling for his dismissal. I'm not sure why, Scott. Honestly, as you said, the propaganda has been so deep and
to separate Putin from the people, which is what they want to do in the upcoming parliamentarian elections in September 20th. That's the goal. That's the objective. It's a propaganda exercise. It's not working. Putin is stronger today than he has ever been, and by engaging in this is what triggered the unrest that we see in Ukraine today. People are in the streets protesting the firing of Fedorov, a 35-year-old punk. Wait a minute. We were promised a victory. We were promised that if we did these drone things, that we would break the Russians' will to fight, that there would be a victory here. And I think they're waking up to the reality that they've been bamboozled the whole time.
What bamboozles me, Scott, is why, if Ukraine is doing so well, Zelensky or the Ukrainian regime would get rid of their defense minister at this time, Alexander Syrsky. There were nationwide protests calling for
the West, which is designed to make people believe that a Russian victory is unachievable, that a Russian defeat is inevitable, and that the Russian people need to rise up against Vladimir Putin.
Well, Scott, I want to say to the audience that they should know, when I was in China in April during the height of the 40-day-ish first round of U.S.-Israeli war on Iran,
So there's analysts who are saying this war will go on and on and on. I believe that the war in Ukraine is going to end sooner rather than later. I think the Russians have a winning formula, and I think that they're going to push us through to the bitter end. But the fact of the matter is, this conflict is much more than simply Ukraine. This conflict is the collective West against Russia, and it's going to be interesting to see how the collective West responds to defeat. We already see political turmoil. Position yourself for a run at the presidency against Zelensky. The Alternative for Deutschland has a lead over all other political parties, including the party of Merz, and that lead's just growing. And there's elections next year, and there's a chance you'll see change there. Times. That's the thing I want to point out. And then I'll just conclude by saying that because we live in interesting times and people are thirsty for knowledge, supporting your independent podcasters, your independent journalists is more important now than it ever has been. And I encourage your audience to support you to the full extent possible, Daddy, because we need your voice and we need the service you're providing. So thanks for having me on.
Of course, yeah, we'll head out together. Same goes to you, Scott. looking out for you. But Scott, it was great to be with you. Everyone, of course, hit that like button. I'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, with our mutual friends, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson and Larry Johnson. Until then, July 22nd, everybody, we'll see you next time. Bye.